when you give a penalty and when you not give a penalty. So yesterday, PSG got a penalty, and today for almost the same thing, which was actually a clear penalty today. Bayern doesn't, you know. So the PSG penalty, in my opinion, you know, is the root cause of the issue with VR. It was a very good ref yesterday. He's having an excellent game, very high pressure situation, and yet the VR made him question himself because his instinctive call was right, and you know, so one of the refs, he gets demoted because of that. He made the original VR call, and I think that has a lot to do with today's decision in the Bayern match against, because probably, they thought that, okay, yesterday they made that decision, referee gets demoted, and all of a sudden, everybody's on their toes, and which was a clear penalty today, they decide not to give it. So, in other words, if the rule says that this is a penalty, UEFA can put that rule with the sandwich. And, you got to go almost like 10 years back for this. And there was, Champions League group match between Man City and Dortmund. It was 1-0 up in Manchester until the end of stoppage time. And then all of a sudden, in that 16-meter space, City player made a turning shot on the baseline and back to the goal, and then so with his tag told the defender, and he had both his arms behind his back completely, and on his shoulder, and consequence was penalty. It's 1-1 final whistle. Since that action, you can just give a penalty for just about anything. So I think someone's going to get in trouble again today, because now that group between Bayern and Manchester United and everybody, it's just like it's a nightmare group right now. Because if we look at the standings, it's, let me see here. So yeah, it's, you got Bayern at 13 points, you got Copenhagen at 5, you got Galatasaray at 5, and you got Manchester United at 4. So now Manchester United, they gotta beat Bayern. They screwed up today, and welcome to hell in Galatasaray. And they're also gonna want Galatasaray and Copenhagen to draw or lose, and Manchester United beating Bayern. This is Bayern's it's their first draw in 2 or 3 years since Hansi Flick, he played that when he played against Atletico, he actually played as B or C team, and that's when there was a draw. Other than that, in the Champions League, you just can't do anything to Bayern. The only team to beat them was Manchester City. So, and of course PSG with that, they're missing Lewandowski. So, I wonder what's driving all these changes, and, some people will obviously come and say that it's about protecting big clubs for fear of losing and everything, but, the VR, it's basically failing miserably, and the game is too fast, too emotional. It's a fine line between being a hero and a villain. So they gotta do something about this, because something, it happens at a totally different pace, and then VR, it just freezes everything, and even a yellow card starts looking like a red card all of a sudden. And so but then obviously there are some people who are going to argue that this is not a VR issue. it's maybe about different governing bodies and different rules. And for the PSG one, maybe he had no choice. But it, it clearly hit his body first, and so obviously, VR is useful, but at the end of the day, then it's a question about maybe it's only as useful as the people running it. Uh, we remember the Luis Diaz goal that got chopped off. So it's just coming with a lot of problems, and maybe it'll take time to get this thing fixed. It's gonna happen over years, and the controversies will be there. And so the best thing they can do at this point is to actually start, putting everything they talk about on the mic, on the TV, on your television. They gotta broadcast that shit. Um, so, and then some people will say, it matters because of its proximity. When the ball hit Livramento yesterday, it did come off his chest. Before or even after VR, it's a penalty because it hit his arm that stopped the play from happening further. So there are gonna be people who are gonna be on both sides of the thing, and then obviously there are gonna be some PSG fans. They're gonna say, you talk about the clear penalty not whistled before this penalty, but PSG. They could say that PSG was, being robbed the whole game, and maybe that played a part in that decision. But so they gotta sit down. We gotta work this out, and maybe that's how it's gonna happen.